My husband's mistress called me, laughing, "He's leaving you for me." I pretended to cry and said, "Oh no. What will I do without him?" She hung up, triumphant. The next morning, she woke up to find her bank account frozen, her car repossessed, and him banging on my door, screaming, "What did you do?" I opened the door, holding my phone. "I just sent everything to your new girlfriend. Good luck." I never imagined I'd be sharing this, but here I am. I've been married to Daniel for 15 years. We live in a quiet suburb of Chicago with our 2 kids. Daniel works as a financial advisor downtown, often coming home late due to client meetings. I teach at a local elementary school, balancing work and home life. Our marriage seemed stable, or so I thought. One evening, as I was grading papers, my phone buzzed with an unknown number. Assuming it was a parent from school, I answered. A woman's voice, sharp and mocking, greeted me. "Is this Sarah?" she asked. "Yes, who's this?" I replied. "I'm Olivia. I thought you should know that Daniel is leaving you for me." My heart pounded. I gripped the edge of the table, trying to steady myself. She continued, her tone dripping with satisfaction. "We've been together for over a year. He's tired of you and your boring life." I felt a surge of emotions, pain, anger, disbelief. But I knew I couldn't let her see me crumble. Taking a shaky breath, I let my voice waver. "Oh no. What will I do without him?" She laughed, a cold, heartless sound. "That's your problem now." Then she hung up. I sat there, staring at my phone, feeling a mix of devastation and fury. Tears welled up, but I refused to let them fall. If Daniel thought he could betray me and walk away unscathed, he was sorely mistaken. That night, sleep eluded me. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying our years together. The anniversaries, the family vacations, the whispered promises. Had it all been a facade? The betrayal cut deep, but amidst the pain, a plan began to form. By dawn, I was resolute. Daniel had always entrusted me with our finances. I knew the ins and outs of his accounts, his investments, even the passwords to his online banking. It was time to use that knowledge. First, I contacted our bank. Feigning concern, I reported suspicious activity and requested a temporary freeze on our joint accounts. Given my authority and our history, they complied without hesitation. Next, I called the credit card companies, citing potential fraud. They promptly suspended our cards, pending investigation. Then, I addressed the car. Daniel's prized BMW was leased under both our names. I informed the leasing company of our impending divorce and expressed my desire to remove myself from the agreement. They scheduled a repossession for the following morning. With each action, I felt a mix of sorrow and empowerment. This wasn't the life I had envisioned, but I refused to be a victim. The next morning, as I was preparing breakfast for the kids, a furious pounding echoed from the front door. I opened it to find Daniel, disheveled and enraged. "What did you do?" he bellowed, waving his phone in the air. I met his glare with a calm I didn't entirely feel. Holding up my own phone, I replied, "I just sent everything to your new girlfriend. Good luck." His face was drained of color. "Sarah, let's talk about this." "Talk? Like the talks you had with Olivia?" I shot back, my voice icy. He ran a hand through his hair, frustration evident. "It was a mistake. She meant nothing. Funny, she seemed pretty confident about replacing me." He sank onto the porch steps, burying his face in his hands. "I've lost everything." "No, Daniel. You threw everything away." The days that followed were a whirlwind. Daniel moved out, staying with a friend. I focused on our children, ensuring they felt loved and secure despite the upheaval. Explaining the situation to them was heart-wrenching, but honesty, tailored to their understanding, was crucial. Olivia attempted to reach out, sending apologetic messages and even showing up at my workplace. I ignored her, refusing to give her any more space in my life. Divorce proceedings began. Given the circumstances and Daniel's infidelity, the court favored my position. I retained primary custody of our children and secured a fair division of assets. Months passed. The initial pain dulled, replaced by a sense of liberation. I rediscovered passions and hobbies I'd set aside during our marriage. I joined a local book club, started painting again, and even took a solo trip to Italy, a dream I'd shelved for years. One evening, while watching the sunset from our porch, my daughter sat beside me. "Mom, are you happy?" I looked at my daughter, her eyes full of curiosity, maybe even worry. I smiled, brushing her hair behind her ear. "Getting there," I said. "One day at a time." "But the truth?" I was holding it together with tape and prayer. And what happened next nearly broke me for real. About 3 weeks after the chaos, I started noticing something strange. Small things. A car parked down the street for hours. Unmarked envelopes in my mailbox with no return address. First, I thought maybe I was just paranoid, leftover anxiety from the affair, the divorce, everything. Then I found out Olivia was pregnant. She announced it on social media like it was some prize. Tagged Daniel in it. A sonogram. A caption that said, "Our little miracle. Worth everything we lost." Lost? She hadn't lost anything. I had. My husband. My peace. My life as I knew it. But what hit me harder, Daniel didn't deny it. He reposted it. Said, "Excited for this new chapter." My stomach twisted. I had just started to heal, and now this. The next day, Daniel showed up unannounced. No warning. Just knocked like he still had a right. When I opened the door, he looked off. Like he hadn't slept in days. "I need to talk to you," he said. I crossed my arms. "About what? Your new family?" He rubbed his face. "She's not who I thought she was, Sarah." I stayed quiet. "She's been lying to me," he continued. "The baby might not even be mine." That caught me off guard. What? She had a guy over. Someone she used to date before me. I came home early last week and found them together. I felt a strange mix of pity and satisfaction. But I didn't let it show. "That sounds like your problem," I said. "You made your bed." He stepped closer. "No, listen. She's coming after you." Now my heart started racing. "What do you mean?" "She found out you froze the accounts. She's angry. She said she's going to make you pay for ruining her life. She said she has things on you." I stared at him. "Things? Like what?" He looked down. "I don't know. But she's unhinged. I thought I knew her, but she's dangerous." I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to be afraid of her. But then my school got an anonymous email. It claimed I was emotionally unstable. That I had threatened Olivia and her unborn baby. There was no proof, of course. But my principal still had to investigate. That was my job. My reputation. My name. I knew exactly who did it. And I knew she wasn't done. 2 nights later, someone keyed my car. Deep, angry scratches across the driver's side door. A few days after that, my son came home crying because someone called his mom a homewrecker on the playground. That was it. I called a lawyer. I needed to protect myself. My kids. My job. But the more we dug, the worse it got. Olivia wasn't even her real name. Her legal name was Marissa Oliveira. She had a record. A sealed case in Nevada from when she was 19. A restraining order filed by a man in Phoenix. Bank fraud. Multiple aliases. I was married to a man who had left me for a walking red flag with glitter on it. Daniel didn't believe it until we pulled the court records. Even then, he was in denial. "She's changed," he mumbled. "No," I said. "She just got better at hiding." A week later, I got a letter in the mail. No return address again. Inside was a photo. A printed photo of me picking up my kids from school. On the back, in handwriting, "You can take everything from him. But not from me." I called the police. They opened a case, but without proof of who sent it, there wasn't much they could do yet. I installed cameras. I changed my locks. I had nightmares for days. Daniel tried to help, but I didn't trust him. Not anymore. He made this mess. He brought her into our lives. And now, we were all living in her shadow. The last thing that happened before I decided I needed to leave town for a while? I got another envelope. Inside was a flash drive. One single file. A video. Of Daniel. Sleeping. In my bed. While I was at work. And Olivia, Marissa, filming herself. Whispering to the camera. "He doesn't even wake up anymore. He's so tired. Poor baby. But don't worry, Sarah. I'm taking care of him. Just like I'll take care of you." I threw up in the sink. That was last week. Now I'm here, writing this. Trying to figure out my next step. I haven't told the kids yet, but I think we need to leave for a while. Just until this storm passes. If it passes. Because I have a feeling, it's only just started. I didn't sleep after that video. I stayed up all night, sitting in the living room with the lights off and the front door deadbolt. I couldn't stop thinking, how did she get into my house? The footage showed Daniel, yes, but also my bedroom. My sheets. My walls. That meant one thing, she had been in my home. I went through the house the next day, checking every window, every door, even the attic. Then I noticed it, one of the kitchen windows had a broken latch. Barely noticeable unless you pulled on it just right. I hadn't seen that before. It wasn't broken last week. That's when I realized this wasn't just about jealousy. This was obsession. 2 days later, Daniel called me from a burner phone. I almost didn't answer, but something told me I needed to. I can't find her, he said, panicked. She disappeared. Took everything. My laptop. My wallet. My backup phone. Even my passport. I was quiet. I didn't know whether to feel bad for him or just laugh. Sounds like karma. No, Sarah, listen to me. She knows everything. My clients, my emails, our court documents. She has it all. She said she was going to start over as you. I froze. What do you mean as me? She's got your old photos. She's been practicing your handwriting. She's been mailing letters to herself pretending to be you. I hung up and went straight to the police. This time, they took it seriously. There were notes, dozens of them, filed under a different name but traced back to one address, a short-term rental on the west side of Chicago. They found wigs. A fake driver's license. ID in my name. Even one of my old college yearbooks with sticky notes marking quotes and signatures. They showed me a photo. It was her. Wearing a dark wig. Same haircut I used to have. A scarf I'd donated to Goodwill last year. She wasn't trying to ruin my life anymore. She was trying to take it. A week after the police raid that rental, my bank called. Someone had tried to access a safety deposit box, under my name. Only problem? I didn't have a safety deposit box. Turns out, I had opened it 6 months ago. With Daniel. She used his info to make it all look real. Even had a fake utility bill. She had been planning this for a while. Inside the box? 2 passports. One in her real name, one in mine. A loaded Glock. And photos of my kids. Candid ones. Playing at the park. Walking home from school. At the zoo. I threw up again. The police opened an official case for identity theft, stalking, and suspected planning of a violent act. CPS was brought in. Not to investigate me, but to help us relocate temporarily while they figured out how far her plan had gone. They started digging into her past deeper. She had a record across 3 states. Changed names 6 times. 2 missing persons tied to her. No charges ever stuck, but the pattern was there. Daniel, broken and ashamed, admitted he met her on a business trip in Las Vegas. She'd claimed to be a marketing consultant. Hooked him fast. Told him she had powerful friends. Made him feel important. She used him to get to me. Not the other way around. Then came the kicker. A package showed up at my door. No postage. Just sitting there one morning. Inside? A photo album. Every page, a picture of me. Me at the grocery store. Me in my classroom. Me brushing my daughter's hair. And on the last page, if I can't have your life, no one will. That was 4 days ago. We're staying in a temporary safe house now, under police protection. The kids think we're on vacation. I haven't told them the truth yet. I don't know how. Daniel is cooperating with police, but they're watching him too. She used him as her way in. For all I know, he still might be helping her. They haven't caught her. But she's out there. And she still has one of my credit cards. Should I tell you what happened last night? Because someone rang the doorbell. At 3:12 a.m. When I looked through the peephole, no one was there. But on the ground? A single Polaroid. Of me. Sleeping. In this house. The police installed motion sensors and additional cameras around the safe house. I should have felt safer, but I didn't. Not really. After that photo was left at our door, I knew she had found us. I knew we were running out of time. Then, 3 nights later, it happened. The door was kicked in at 2:43 a.m. I grabbed the kids and ran to the panic room the officers had built in the basement. It wasn't fancy, just concrete walls, a steel door, and a direct line to 911. We huddled in silence. Through the monitor, I saw her. Marissa. dressed in black. Face calm. Almost blank. Like she was grocery shopping, not breaking into a house. She had something in her hand. My kitchen knife. Police got there before she made it to the basement. I heard the shouting, the pounding of boots, then the sickening thud of something heavy hitting the ground. They arrested her. When I emerged, she was handcuffed, blood on her forehead where she'd been slammed into the wall during the struggle. And she smiled at me. Wasn't supposed to be like this, she muttered. Daniel showed up at the station. His face was white, eyes swollen. He looked at her, really looked, and something in him broke. You lied to me, he whispered. Marissa didn't flinch. So did you. To her. To yourself. We were perfect, until you got scared. He shook his head, tears welling. You used me. She laughed, cold and hollow. You were never the plan. She was. Then she turned to me. I wasn't going to kill you, she said. I just wanted you to feel small. Like you made me feel. I was everything once too. We went home the next day, what was left of it, anyway. The front door was splintered. The kids were jumpy. I felt hollow. Daniel tried to apologize. In the kitchen. The same place we used to dance at night when the kids were asleep. I didn't know who she was, he said. You didn't care to find out, I replied. She made me feel alive. Like someone wanted me again. And I didn't? He was silent. I looked at him. Really looked. At the man I once built a life with. Who tore it all down for something shiny and new. You didn't just break me, Daniel. You handed me to a monster. He started to cry. But I didn't. My sister flew in from Milwaukee. Sat me down with wine and said, you should have buried him in the backyard. My neighbor Linda, not that Linda, hugged me tight and said she always thought Daniel looked too polished to be loyal. My son asked if his dad was coming back. My daughter said she didn't care. The school sent me flowers. And an email offering me paid time off until I was ready. Everyone had an opinion. But none of them lived it. The trial came and went. Marissa, aka Olivia, aka a dozen other names, was sentenced to 10 years for breaking and entering, identity theft, stalking, and attempted assault. She didn't flinch when the judge read the verdict. Just stared straight ahead. Daniel testified against her. But it didn't earn him back any points. We finalized our divorce quietly. No fighting. No drama. Just paperwork and silence. The house went on the market. I couldn't stay there. Too many ghosts in the walls. It's been a year now. We live in a smaller home. The kids are doing okay. They laugh again. I laugh too, sometimes. Daniel visits on weekends. We're polite. Civil, but we're not us anymore. We never will be. I sometimes wonder if I'll ever fully trust someone again. If I'll ever look at love without suspicion. But I also know I survived something most people only see in movies. And I didn't survive it by being soft. People ask me now, how did you keep it together? I didn't. I broke 100 times. Quietly. Alone. With no one watching. But then I got back up. Because the truth is this, when someone tries to take your life, your name, your peace, your children, you learn how far you're willing to go to protect it. And now? I'm no longer afraid. I'm wide awake. And I see everything,